Are unions the backbone of this country? 14% yes, 86% no.
Wow, 86%.
Now that's just voting, okay? So the reason why I wanted to pull this up was because I wanted to drop some facts on everybody. So I'm catching a little bit of flack about my union post. And I find it so interesting that so many people are so divided, right? And it's the majority of people agree with me that unions don't serve a purpose anymore. But then you have these people that are just like, oh, but this and then this, and it protects this and it protects that. And one of the common themes is workplace injuries happen less in unioned environments than they do in non-unioned. I don't know if that's true. Maybe somebody can leave a comment below. And then another thing, the most common, obviously, is wages, right? Unions push for a fair working wage, but my argument is always pay people based on merit and merit alone. I don't understand how somebody can argue that you should not, that unions champion the ability to pay people when they don't deserve it. And that's basically the argument that they're making, is that unions are ensuring a fair wage for all, but not all deserve it. And the ones that deserve it, the opportunity for increased compensation is not there anymore because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And Paul's fucking lazy and doesn't deserve it. That's the problem, right? So that argument there inherently is proving my point, is that if you are worth it, you would be on my side. If you knew that your work was, if you knew that you were being paid on merit, based on merit, then you would understand that there's no need for a union. Would you not agree?
Absolutely.
Right? And what's the other argument that a lot of other people have here? Did you see any of these comments? Did you actually even read any?
I did. Like all the ones that I remember are the ones that were for what you were saying.
Yeah.
Like top comment with fucking whatever 15 likes or something like that is like, couldn't agree more.
With mine, with me, exactly. And the reason why I feel like unions have lost their they've lost their importance in the workplace these days, and people are like, oh, but this and that, and workers' rights and this, but you have labor law, you have human rights. Back when unions were established, I remember even my grandfather, he started working in, he was born in 1924, and when he was like, in the 30s and 40s or whatever, like, some of the shit was not okay back then. Yeah. Right. So, that might have justified having a union because it wasn't necessarily only about pay. Right. But nowadays you have these other, policies, and you have these other laws in place to protect people, not just workers. You have workers' comp, you have WSIB. We're not a union place, but they come in. They make sure the place is safe. Yep. There's labor law to ensure that there's no, offensive shit going on. There's no, assault or sexual assault, or there's none of that stuff going on. And there's not.
They check our machinery. Yeah. They check like lockouts. They check the paperwork and signage that's there. They check training protocols. Yeah. Like they're coming in. Like you mentioned, we don't have a unionized environment, and they're checking all of that stuff.
Yeah. So
regularly.
So I don't know. I don't know the.
And then we have the ESA, the Employment Standard Act, essentially that's protecting employees' rights to wages and compensation and pay time off and holiday pay and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I don't understand the argument for still having unions. I really don't. And I remember this comment too. Somebody was mentioning that somebody mentioned, well, I bet you never worked in the construction industry, and that's why you're saying all this kind of shit. And I'm like, well, I've hired unioned crews and non-unioned crews to put together properties, to construct properties, to do this and do that. And I can tell you right now that non-unioned crews, from what I've seen, they work harder. Like, that is it. Maybe you want to argue that. That's fine. Maybe. Now, again, this is anecdotal from my perspective, right? Maybe it's not a stat. Maybe I'm not saying that there aren't hardworking union construction workers, hardworking union auto workers. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you were to take an overall stat, I guarantee it that unioned workers are not harder working than non-unioned workers, and it's the opposite, that non-unioned workers tend to be harder working than unioned. It's like, I have to imagine that would be the case, just from my personal experience. Now, again, that's my personal experience. Here we go. Unions are the backbone of this country. Union workers get fired. It's managers' responsibility to manage their workers, not union shops equal less pay. That's not what I'm even arguing, first of all.
So you took that, you screenshotted that, and you put that up on your Instagram as our unions, the backbone of society. What were the responses to when you put that up there?
I didn't even check, actually. There we go. Are unions the backbone of this country? 14% yes, 86% no.
Wow, 86%.
Now that's just voting, okay? So the reason why I wanted to pull this up was because I wanted to drop some facts on everybody, okay? As of 2021, the percentage of unionized workers versus non-unionized workers in Canada is approximately 30% unionized and 70% non-unionized. Okay? So right off the bat, it's not the backbone, okay? Now, you might be able to argue that, well, maybe there's a higher percentage of employees employed as unionized workers overall in the country, okay? Let's go further deep here. Further, approximately 2/3 of unionized workers in Canada are employed in the public sector, including federal, provincial, and municipal government. 2/3
of that 30%.
30%.
Yeah.
So 20% of that 30% is government. They're not the backbone of this country.
So in private industry that are unionized,
Yes.
that's only 10% of workers in Canada.
Exactly. So how are you going to argue that?
And that's probably also 10% of employees. That it's probably even also removes like business owners and entrepreneurs, like
Exactly.
self-employed individuals.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's no union environment
Exactly.
there.
So I don't see how you can even argue that it's the backbone of this country. I just don't. I don't think this person understood the facts.
Yeah.
Now, who knows? My facts could be wrong. I pulled that from somewhere where it was making the same argument, and they pulled facts.
Yeah.
And I got those facts from that resource, wherever that resource was. I don't remember. Anyways, I want to end on that because that is factually incorrect, that unionized workers are the backbone of this country. I'd love for someone to
Argue the other side
and present reasons why that particular person would argue that unionized workers are the backbone of the country. Maybe because that's how the country got to where it is now, based on unionized workers. I don't know where that guy is going with that argument, mentioning that unionized workers are the backbone of the country. That's it.
Done.